So you're moving to Northern Virginia, and you probably heard a lot of great things about living here, like quick access to Washington, D.C., a world-class education system, unlimited career opportunities, and one of the best places to raise a family. And yes, most people who move here absolutely love it. However, a lot of people who move here end up regretting their decision. So why would anybody regret moving here? Well, in this week's video, I'll be breaking down the top 7 reasons why you may regret moving to Northern Virginia. Trust me, you're not gonna wanna miss it, so stay tuned because we're getting started right now. Boom! Hey everybody, it's David, your favorite realtor. So, why would anybody regret moving to Northern Virginia? Well, the first reason is high cost of living. And by far the biggest con with living in Northern Virginia is our high cost of living. As Northern Virginia is one of the wealthiest areas in the country, and the cost of living reflects that. But the main factor with our high cost of living is our high cost of housing. And you've probably already gone through this. I'm sure you've been on Zillow, checking out listings here in Northern Virginia, and I know you're 100% going through sticker shock. And you might be thinking to yourself, is this move to Northern Virginia even worth it? So the median sales price of a home in Northern Virginia comes out to $715,000. Now to put that number to context, let's compare that to the national median sales price, and that number comes out to $422,000. So home prices in Northern Virginia are 69% higher compared to the country as a whole. And that's $715,000 median sales price. In the majority of the country, that gets you a really nice single family home. However, here in Northern Virginia, that'll get you a 2,000 square foot townhouse with maybe a 1 or 2 car garage, or a much smaller and older single family home. And speaking of single family homes, the median sales price for a single family home here in Northern Virginia comes out to $938,000. That is mind blowing. It's almost $1 million to buy a middle of the pack single family home here in our region. So whether you're buying a $715,000 townhouse or a $940,000 single family home, that is a lot of money, and it's a very tough pill for a lot of people to swallow. Now, most people relocating to our region, they're coming here for a new career opportunity, and there's a high probability you're getting a nice pay increase as well. So if you are getting that higher salary by moving here, you gotta make sure it is enough to adjust for a high cost of living, because the last thing you wanna do is move here, and even with your higher salary, your purchasing power goes down. So a lot of people have relocated to our region and not really being prepared for a high cost of living, and have really regretted making the move here. So if you're moving to our region, you must be prepared for a high cost of living. Now, the next reason why people regret moving to Northern Virginia is fast-paced and competitive lifestyle. So Northern Virginia is definitely not a blue-collar town whatsoever. It's a very affluent, fast-paced, and career-driven area, which can be a huge difference for people relocating from like more quiet, laid-back regions like the South or the Midwest. So most people you meet in Northern Virginia, they're gonna be right in the middle of the rat race, where they're constantly striving for more success, more money, next big promotion, or higher status, which can make this area very competitive and a cutthroat environment. You also see a lot of keeping up with the Joneses in our area, where so many people, they're trying to outdo their friends, their colleagues, and their neighbors. Like, I just bought a brand new $2 million house, or I just bought a $150,000 Range Rover, or I just went to the Maldives for 2 weeks, or my kid just got into UVA and a full scholarship. Things like that. So a lot of people in our region, they definitely feel very entitled because of their career success. And this can be a huge adjustment for a lot of people, especially if you're coming from a slower paced lifestyle. In fact, I moved to Northern Virginia in the year 2000 from Jacksonville, Florida, which is way more laid back compared to Northern Virginia. And it literally took me 5, 6, maybe 7 years to get accustomed to this new lifestyle. So this is definitely one of the top reasons why people who relocate here end up leaving the area, because a lot of people find it hard to like make new friends. They don't feel like they fit into this like new way of living. So if you're coming from a more laid-back region of the country, you must be prepared for a fast-paced and competitive lifestyle. Now, as much as I love making YouTube videos about living in Northern Virginia, what I love even more is helping folks just like you relocate to the area. So if you're even thinking about moving to Northern Virginia, reach out to me, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. Just know I got your back when you're moving to Northern Virginia. Next on the list is sticker shock with daycares and preschools. So do you have kiddos under 5 years old and need childcare so you can actually go to work? Well, be prepared to have sticker shock, as childcare in our region can cost as much as a second mortgage. So a lot of families relocating to our region are extremely surprised by the long wait list for daycares and the monthly costs. So my 2-year-old daughter goes to daycare here in Ashburn, and she's been going there ever since she was about 8 months old. But I remember when I started doing my research on looking up daycares, I basically called the 15 closest daycares to my house, and each one was between $2,000 and $2,500 per month. And some of them were actually full, not even taking any more kids. So I 100% had sticker shock because before that I had no idea how much daycare was, and I was extremely surprised to see how expensive it was. And in fact, when my parents were like pushing me to have kids, they failed to mention how expensive daycare was. So we ended up picking a daycare close to our house for $2,300 per month. And to put that number into context, according to care.com, the average cost of daycare in the US comes out to $1,391 per month. So childcare in Northern Virginia can be over $1,000 more per month compared to the national average. And that's just for one kid. Every time I drop my daughter off or pick her up, I'll see families in there with 2, 3, even 4 kids. And I always think to myself, how do you afford having 4 kids in this school? So between our high cost of housing and our high cost of daycare, a lot of families who are relocating here, they can feel the financial burden and really regret their decision to move here. Now the next reason why people regret moving to Northern Virginia is traffic. And who likes sitting in traffic? I know I don't. So according to usnews.com, the DC area has the 8th worst traffic in the entire nation. And this is for the whole DMV area, which includes DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So this translates to terrible traffic in Northern Virginia. So a good rule of thumb is the closer you get to Washington, DC, the worse the traffic gets. And what really adds to our terrible traffic in our region is increasing population, accidents, and never-ending road construction. Now, a pro tip I can share with you with our traffic, and this may not even be possible depending on where you're commuting to, but that's avoid major highways during rush hour, especially 495 and 66. Because getting on those highways during rush hour can literally feel like a parking lot. Now, the good news is a lot of transportation projects have recently been completed, which has really helped alleviate some of the traffic in our region. And this includes the completion of the Metro Silver Line, which has added 8 metro stations since 2014, and the opening of the 66 express lanes, which has been a huge relief on traffic, especially if you're going from Prince William County into Fairfax County or Arlington. Now, it's going to cost you a pretty penny to ride on the new 66 express lanes, but you will get to your destination a lot faster. So it's so funny, throughout the years, I've had a lot of people comment on my videos that I'm exaggerating about the traffic, and I always say this: go sit on 495 during rush hour, and you let me know how much I'm exaggerating about traffic. Now, a very common scenario is someone's relocating to our region for a new job, let's say in Arlington, but when they start looking for single-family homes in Arlington, they realize you need at least $1.5 million to buy a decent single-family home in Arlington. So they start looking at farther out suburbs like Gainesville, where you can buy a nice single-family home for probably half the prices you can in Arlington. So now they have that long commute, which is easily going to be anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes each way. And when they're sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic, that is when they start regretting their decision to move into Northern Virginia. So yes, traffic in our area, it is not great. In fact, it is terrible. But think of it this way: it is the price of admission for living in such a great area. Next on the list is weather extremes. Now, I'm really gonna try not to be prisoner of the moment because I'm filming this video during one of the worst heat waves I've ever felt in 25 plus years of living here, as it's been 95 plus and humid every single day for the past 5 days. So Northern Virginia doesn't have the best weather in the country, but we definitely don't have the worst as well. Kind of lands somewhere in the middle. And living in Northern Virginia, you will experience all 4 seasons. Now, the biggest complaint to weather in Northern Virginia is weather can fluctuate extremely quickly. Like, I've seen it be 68 degrees one day, and literally the next day we get 5 inches of snow. I've seen us get no rain for 15 straight days. Then I've seen it rain non-stop for 2 weeks straight. Or my personal favorite is it's 80 degrees today and then 30 degrees tomorrow. So summer's gonna be extremely brutal, like what we're going through right now. Temperatures in the high 90s plus extreme humidity. And then, not to mention all the bugs in our region. In fact, I think I have like 3 mosquito bites on my leg right now. And then winters, especially during January and February, are extremely cold and bitter. Now, we don't get as much snow as we used to, but we're still prone to a blizzard every now and then. Now, springtime's very beautiful, but we will get a lot of rain, huge temperature fluctuations, and then my personal favorite, a ton of pollen. And I'm just kidding, I absolutely hate pollen. My allergies really act up in March, April, and May. So my word of advice is, if you live in Northern Virginia, don't buy a black car, because in April and May, you won't have a black car, you will literally have a yellow car. Now, fall weather is actually awesome here in our region. It's not too hot, not too cold. Really, the only downside to fall is it's over extremely quickly. So here's a funny meme I want to share with you, and this meme emphasizes our all over the place weather, and this meme shows you that we actually have 12 seasons of weather in Virginia, not 4. And currently, we are right in the middle of hell's front porch. So the weather here, like I said, it's not the best, and it's definitely not the worst as well. But a lot of people won't like our weather, especially like right now during an extreme heat wave. But even with our extreme weather fluctuations, this definitely should not be a deal breaker if you're thinking about moving to Northern Virginia. Now, the next reason why people regret moving to Northern Virginia is personal property tax, aka the car tax. So what is this car tax all about? Well, here in Virginia, we have 3 taxes. We have sales tax, real estate property taxes, just like the rest of the country. But we also have a third tax, which is the personal property tax. So this is going to be a tax levied on the ownership of personal property such as cars, motorcycles, trucks, boats, campers, trailers, and planes. But since most people don't own boats or planes, but everybody owns a car, that's why it's commonly referred to as the car tax. So 24 other states actually also have a personal property tax, but Virginia's car tax is the highest in the nation. So the tax rate is not the same for all of Virginia, as each city, county, and town sets its own rates. So on average, the rates range between $3.50 to $5 per $100 of assessed value. So the county I personally live in, which is Loudoun County, our personal property tax rate is $4.15 per $100 of assessed value. So let me share with you what I paid for my 2024 car tax bill, and this number will absolutely shock you. So in my household, we have 2 cars, a 2024 BMW X5 and a 2021 Tesla Model 3. And my combined 2024 car tax bill came out to $3,258. And that hurt big time. There's literally a million other things I'd rather spend $3,000 on. I can invest that money, I can save that money, I can go on vacation, use it towards my daughter's daycare, I can blow that money on anything. I would rather spend that $3,000 literally on anything else besides a car tax. Now, a common question about the car tax bill that I get is, do you still have to pay that car tax on leased vehicles? And the answer is yes. Really, the only difference is the leaseholder pays it and you just pay the leaseholder back. So yes, the car tax is definitely not ideal. Whether you live here or relocating here, chances are you're really gonna dislike it. But think of it this way, just like I said for traffic, the car tax is the price of admission for living in such a great area. Now, the next reason why people regret moving to Northern Virginia, and this is probably the most underrated reason, and that's the grass isn't always greener. So 90% of people who are relocating to Northern Virginia is due to a new job opportunity. They're coming to advance their career, increase their income, and to be able to provide a better life for their family. So in a nutshell, the main motivation people move here, it is more money. Making more money, it is great. I love making more money, but it's not everything, and change can be extremely hard. Especially if you're like a family of 5 and you're relocating here from, let's say, Texas. And all you know is Texas living. Your kiddos already have their friends, their after school activities, have your church, your favorite restaurants, your favorite parks, your friends live there, your family lives there, and you just love everything about Texas living. Then a new career opportunity comes about that you could not say no to. It was such a high pay increase. So you pack the family and you move cross country. But then after a few months of living here, you realize living in Northern Virginia wasn't what it's cracked up to be. So a lot of people in this scenario, they really start feeling homesick. They miss their old friends, their old routines, their old lifestyle. They really start to regret their decision to move here, even though they're making more money. So yes, a lot of people are moving here. They're coming for a higher income potential, but when they come here, they realize the grass isn't greener. However, I will say this, it can become greener over time. When I first moved to Northern Virginia from Jacksonville back in the year 2000, I was extremely homesick for easily 5+ years. I wanted to go back every single year, but I never left. I stayed here, I got accustomed to this lifestyle, and now the grass is way greener here compared to where I came from. So yes, a lot of people moving here, they're gonna feel homesick, really wanting to go back, but I say this, stick it out. You will end up being extremely happy with the decision to relocate to Northern Virginia. And if you want to learn more about living right here in Northern Virginia, check out these videos right here. They're going to be great ways to continue your research. And I'll see you on the next video.